Maybe I should just put away my food first. Excuse the voice, will be explained momentarily, but I have to put away the rest of this monstrous soup, which I have made. I have 7 of these. Why did I do this to myself? The struggles of mass cooking. Hi, Luna. I see you still have a 7 cents for the camera being on. Hi. Someone is very, very needy since the return from Disney. Like, a step or 2 above her normal neediness. Anyway, I'm gonna put this away and then I'll be back. Now the soup is away. So, yeah. Post-Disney updates. If you haven't figured it out yet, I have been sick. Like, so sick. And Exhibit A. So basically, behind the loveliness that has been spending 4.5-ish days in Disney, I decided to have the worst luck in the world and be in pain / sick the entire trip. So basically, day 1, we went to Animal Kingdom, and mistake number 1 was listening to people say, pack your hiking shoes because they're meant to give you more support than those stupid flat Converse. Paraphrased, but anyway. I've only worn my hiking boots once before, and didn't think about the fact that, yeah, some shoes actually do require properly being broken in first. So, 20,000 plus steps there. We go to the hotel. I'm dying because, obviously, when hiking shoes, they lock your feet into, like, proper position, so you can't move your ankles. So I couldn't stretch my feet, to ease some of the pain at all during the entire day. So it was just, pain on top of pain, and then I was getting, stabbing pain in the back of my ankle from trying to deal with the whole, high back of the shoes. Anyway. So after Animal Kingdom is done, I swap into my Converse for the rest of the evening. And far too soon, we went back out to go park hopping to Epcot for a couple hours. So I was fine-ish. The immediate response to the Converse was, oh my god, it almost feels therapeutic, because the pain is so much better. But then I overstayed my welcome with going up to a total of 25,000 steps for the day by the end of Epcot, and let me tell you, that should not be accomplished by anyone, because it is a painful place to be. We were sitting there in Japan, and I'm literally sitting there my feet are about to say, no, we cannot even, at anything. They're losing the ability to can quite quickly. So it ended up with us being me, Ed, and Ed's mother, because Edward and Shirley and Victoria had already left about an hour or 2 previously after we had dinner. And I'm walking at a slowish pace. Some of it I'm trying to walk quickly just to get there. Sometimes I'm barely walking because my feet are just so dead. And I'm taking breaks left and right because the pain is so bad. I was literally fighting back tears. It was the worst experience, and I don't think I've ever hurt that bad in my life. So, oh my god. Why? So, then I rest my feet. Thankfully, the only actual damage physically was I got one blister. It was a decent sized blister, but only one, thank God. So, rested my feet for the night. But then we had to wake up pretty early the next day, I think, because that was Thursday, and then Friday, I think, was the day that we woke up super early at like 5 in the morning. Yeah, I think Friday was the day we woke up at 5 a.m. So, super short sleep. And we went to Hollywood Studios because they were doing super early hours and we were trying to get there in time to do Star Wars when the park first was opening for us for the resort hours. So, I wake up and my feet are already at the pain level that you would probably have at the end of a regular, like, theme park day. So I go into Star Wars, like, literally going, ow, 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 every step. Begging for death, basically. So yeah, took a lot of breaks that day, sitting down throughout the day to try and just take it in spurts and just work through it and, you know, kind of end the day early. Don't push it this time because we need to rest the feet longer because clearly they didn't get a long enough break yet. So after Hollywood Studios, I went home. Well, I went back to the resort hotel by like 5 while the rest of everyone went to other parks again. And again, like, dying, trying not to cry in pain on the way to the bus. And I hate the fact that every single time we had to go to the buses, ours was either the last one or the next to last one, and it was always like the farthest grouping of bus stops too. So it was the worst luck having to go super far to get to the bus. So yeah, and then I got to the bus stop, and the one next to ours is actually empty. So I sit down confused, trying to figure out if I'm in the right bus stop. And it isn't until like right before the bus pulls up that 2 other people finally go to the movies bus stop, and I find out, nope, I'm in the wrong bus stop, so I have to go to the back of the line. And I tried to jump, like hop over, climb over the back little like chain of the line so I wouldn't have to go all the way around and back over. And of course, get my freaking foot caught on the chain after I got my first leg over. So I literally stumble, try not to face plant, and ended up like crashing into a parked wheelchair that was sitting next to it. Empty, of course, but still. And then just kind of like trying to brush it off awkwardly as I rushed to the front of the line because the bus is there. So that was fun. And I still have bruises from that. Somehow I have one on my thigh and one on my ankle, so it's super great. So yeah, took that day to kind of chill and stayed in the bed at the hotel to rest my feet because it was the kind of pain where just sitting down was not enough. I'd have my feet like up, like splayed across the bench, like I couldn't just rest my feet on the ground very long. Like I had to actually like lay my legs out like this on a bench. So yeah, there was a lot of resting like that, and thank God Ed reminded me to bring my slippers just before we left because they were a lifesaver while we were at the hotel. Like if I could have passably, like feasibly talked myself into wearing them into the parks, I probably would have because it was that bad. So yeah, did that, and then Saturday we slept in a little bit further. We got to sleep till about 5:45, I think, and then tried to get to the buses by 6:30 because we had to go to Magic Kingdom to get to the Be Our Guest breakfast because we had reservations for 7:30. And my feet were better that morning, they were just kind of like sore, but it's one of those where it's sore because you've been working out a lot the previous day, but it wasn't at the point where I was like able to stay at that level. They very quickly still progressed to the pain. Oh my god, every footstep, like all I could think of with every step is like, this is the pain I'm experiencing right now is the equivalent to like when someone gets like hit in the head and they see stars. Like, I feel like I'm getting little tiny explosions of pain with every step all over my foot. Like, it feels like I should have 1,000,000 blisters because every piece of my foot hurts. Lovely coughs. So yeah, there's that. And so even more breaks at Magic Kingdom, to the point where I was literally like slowing down to the speed of a snail by half the day through, being like, this is the only way I can make it is if I'm walking at this slow pace and taking, breaks almost every chance I can. But then, about halfway through the day, we ended up splitting a little bit into smaller groups. So it was me, Ed, and his mom again, because Edward and Shirley and Victoria had taken Victoria to like meet and greets with the princesses or something, and went on some of the like younger, focus rides. And we made our way over to Splash Mountain. So we get over to that area, and I get to about kind of where the bridge is next to the Tom Sawyer Island, and so I can see Splash Mountain in the distance, but it's still a little bit of a walk to get to the actual line, because it's on the other side of the bridge there. You have to go around, and half of me was like, I really want to go on it because I didn't get to the last time we went to Disney, and it's such like a classic ride. But staring at it, I was just like, the absolute last thing I want to do right now is go on a water ride where I'm probably going to get wet. And just the walk there and everything, I was sitting on a crate where it was kind of like a display where it looks like a ton of crates like stacked diagonally on each other. So I'm awkwardly sitting on the edge of this crate as my best option for a place to sit, with my feet literally dangling in the air. The best compromise between sitting down on a bench regularly and like laying my legs across a bench. And so I kept watch on all this stuff while Ed and his mom went on Splash Mountain together. And just in a like half hour that they went on the ride, I ended up catching a fever, which is most likely why the thought of Splash Mountain suddenly lost all interest to me. And I was just strategically placed in a spot where, even though it was 85 degrees out and like the sun is bearing down on that edge like area of the park, I was in a small like shady area because I was on like the shady side of the crates, stuck against like one of the fences, and there was a breeze passing through because I was right there next to the water for the island and everything in Splash Mountain, that I got the chills. And by the time they came back, I was literally wrapped in my Ravenclaw hoodie because I got so cold and so chilled. And it wasn't full fever by that point, but I was in that like dazed phase where I was just like staring in the distance, not really like dying. Like, I think I was literally like leaning against the crates when they came back, just like watching with a dead face for them to return back from it. And then pretty much spent the rest of the day in the hoodie with brief breaks outside of it, just on those few times where I felt decent. And at that point I was just like, well, I'm probably dehydrated because Ed and I have been sharing just the one Brita bottle all weekends, and it doesn't last more than like 2 or 3 shares before it has to be refilled, and we're not probably refilling it as much as we should, but sometimes water access is limited unless you want to be buying bottled water. So I mentioned this to Ed, and thankfully he goes ahead and he gets a bottled water from one of the stores there. So I have like plenty, and I drank like half of it on the spot. And we kind of shared with that, and then kept between that and the Brita bottle for the rest of the day to try and keep things up. And I was still like dying hardcore before much longer, like within the like next half hour. And then we went to Pirates of the Caribbean after we got stopped at the parade to cross, and it was at that point like I was still kind of like needing another rest stop. So we went and he found a shady spot like in Pirates of the Caribbean, like next to the fast pass lane. There's like a little area under the actual ceiling of the building where there's like 3 or 4 benches, and you can feel a lot of the breeze from the ride through there. So we sat there for a while, and I rested my feet, and we tried to figure stuff out. And then he was like, well, we could get fast passes. Well, basically he told me I can get you a fast pass for Pirates, because originally we were going to go standby, and it was like 40 minutes, I think. And then he was like, I can get you a fast pass for Pirates of the Caribbean if we come back in like an hour or so, I think it was. And I was just like, so I'm gonna go by myself? Like, what? That doesn't make sense. And we were talking about how first we have a fast pass for Haunted Mansion, and we were about to go there instead of Pirates of the Caribbean first. And I was like, why on earth would I go to Haunted Mansion, which was fairly distantly far, and then come back by myself and then leave the park by myself, because that was the last thing we had to do for the day. And then, yeah, they were like, oh no, we'll just all do Pirates. You'll just be the only one with a fast pass at that point, because I was able to get a new one right away because I didn't use Splash Mountain, whereas they were still maxed out with Haunted Mansion. So I went to Haunted Mansion. I figured whatever, if we're all going together, and I'm fine. I'm just not going to be that person that's going to walk all the way there and all the way back just to go by myself in a shorter line. So we went to Haunted Mansion and did the fast pass there, and I was dying in the line. Like, literally, I could not even stand straight. Like, my feet were so weak. Like, I was almost shaking, and I couldn't stand straight. Like, I was literally, like, tilting and desperate for a place to, like, lean against. And so we went through Haunted Mansion, and then after we actually checked in, then their fast passes were freed, so they was able to get fast passes for everybody else to do Pirates of the Caribbean like 20 minutes after mine started. So since they're like an hour-long gap, we had like 40 minutes that we were able to do the fast passes together at that point. We just go through the short line together. So we did the Haunted Mansion. It helped a little bit with my feet, and then, basically we took a rest outside on like one of the stone bench areas outside it while Everett and Shirley and their mom went on Aladdin, I think it was, next. I think Aladdin was after that, because that's over by Pirates of the Caribbean. I don't remember what they did. It may have been another meet and greet at that point. But then we went back over to Pirates of the Caribbean because we had a decent bit of time, like 30 minutes or more to get back over there. So we took our time, just like try not to die with every step at a snail's pace, and went back to the benches there. Well, we had like way more kill time than that, actually. We had like over an hour, I think, actually, because we got over to the Pirates before too long, and we had to wait for them to finish with their thing that they were doing. So I ended up taking like a 45-minute nap on those benches back at Pirates of the Caribbean, waiting for the fast passes to start. And then we waited till about, I think, 3:45 to go on the fast pass for Pirates of the Caribbean. At first we were kind of like trying to wait out whether or not we should go, because the fast pass line was so long, but it was going so quickly after they checked in. So after the 45-minute nap, letting my legs out on the bench and sleeping off the fever, like I actually went and took a legit nap on the bench, it was enough that I actually was decently pain-free for my feet enough to get through the line, but I was still kind of like feverish a little bit. So in order to make sure I still didn't get wet, even though it wasn't really meant to get wet on that ride, I literally had wrapped my little romper dress around my legs and had zipped up the hoodie and put the hood up on top of my hat to cover myself and sat in the middle. So there's a lovely picture on Pirates of the Caribbean where I'm just like bundled like a little Eskimo Ravenclaw there. So fun. So yeah, we did that, and then went back to the benches to chill even longer for my case, and then they went and got Dole Whip, and I was so like off at that point, like dying out again, that I was like, I don't even want my own Dole Whip. Like, I was at the point where like sweet stuff was like the last thing I wanted to eat, but I love Dole Whip. So I was like, I'll have like a little bit and I'll just share it with somebody, because I want enough to like cool off, but I don't want to really like go through the whole effort of eating a whole thing. So Ed and I shared one of them, the Dole Floats. I only had like a few bites of it, and then after that we all went, I think we all pretty much started going to the front of the park by then, so everyone else went to go check on the photos in front of the castle that we did that morning, whereas Ed and I went and looked through the gift shops to look for stuff, because I was meaning to try and get birthday gifts for Eleanor and Sagan, and unfortunately I only ended up with getting something for Sagan at the parks, because they didn't have quite the stuff that I was looking for Eleanor. Somehow I was always at the wrong Star Wars shop for everything I was trying to look for her. But anyway, so yeah, went through the shops briefly, and then went back to the hotel, and everyone ended up taking a brief break there to get dinner and whatnot, and then they headed back to the parks again to do like Avatar and stuff, since only Ed and I had gone to Avatar together the first day while they were staying behind for breakfast. And then I was so worn out that we got back to the hotel probably like 6-ish, and I literally passed out off and on until like 10 o'clock when everyone was finally back for the night. And then like an hour later I went back to sleep, because I pretty much just got up long enough between 10 to 11 and 11:30 to take a shower, because I was just like pool of sweat post fever, because at first Ed turned up the heating. Well, first I had told him not to turn it up because I was so overheated from the bus drive back that I needed to cool off. And then before he left to go back to the parks, I told him to go ahead and turn the temperature back up so I wouldn't freeze, because that was something that was happening every night. And the first time he came back at like 9 o'clock from the parks, after he thankfully picked up Sagan's gift for me from the shop, was he put it up to 75, but realized when he came back over an hour later, like 2 hours later, that the heater kicked in automatically at that temperature. So I boiled in my sleep. So I was just like super sweated out. So took a shower, and then we had to pack all of our stuff up so that we were ready to check out the next morning. And then went to sleep for the night by like 11 or 11:30. And then we got up the next day, I think around 7:30ish, and went to the parks by like 8:30. And we went to Epcot again for the proper Epcot day, so to speak. And so we went barely through much of the park because I was still dying, and better than the day before, but still kind of crappy. I was taking breaks, so we went to Frozen in Norway, and then we went to stuff in the front where we went to Test Track, and we went to Journey into Imagination with Figments, and we had lunch and said goodbye to everybody. And I went to a couple more gift shops to check out stuff and found something for Vivi. And again, parked on benches for ages while they went on other stuff without me, because I was not interested in going on mission space. And yeah. So yeah, fun times. Thankfully the fever was gone, but the rest of the sickness was definitely there. So I got hit with a fever, chills on and off. Still have been having chills almost every night when I sleep. And my nose has been going back from stopped up to running. And I've had a lovely nasty cough, a sore throat that's been killing me up until today with the most recent medicine. And then there was also just general like exhaustion between the illness and the week of walking around constantly. And the pain in my feet, like to the point where it was still me walking at a snail's pace up until like yesterday. And I still like get random like sore aches in the bottom of my feet even when I'm lying down in bed in the middle of the night. I'm just like, why? We're not even like standing up. Why? Why is this a thing? I'm laying down. But no, it has to happen. So yeah, been a lovely fun time. So Monday comes because we come back Sunday night. I pretty much slept through almost the entirety of the drive home. Not fully asleep, but enough. And that's about 5.5 hours on the road. And then I went to sleep for the night, officially not more than a couple hours after we got home. And on Monday I woke up and I was like, this work is not gonna be working out today. I am too sick. Especially because I had like that killing sore throat and cough, and everything could barely breathe through my nose. And it felt so painful because it felt like I had something jammed in the back of my nose since Saturday. And so I went to the clinic for CVS, and they checked me out. They're like, tested me for strep throat and the flu and said, no, you're fine. It's probably just a virus. And they told me to take some Motrin because I'd been taking Tylenol previously while we were there because that was what his mom had available, and go home. And they gave me a work excuse for that day. So I went home and I took the Motrin and I took Dayquil and NyQuil interchangeably as needed and rested as much as possible. And then Tuesday came. And I felt a little bit better, but not really. But I only sent in the work excuse basically for the one day. So I went to work. And I'm always there like an hour early. So I took my sweet time getting across the street. And I was already nervous about the fact that I'm working the snail's pace, and our crosswalk from the overflow parking lot is very unforgiving. You only get like a 30-second time limit to cross like 6 lanes of traffic. I made it to like the little spot where it gives you like a little corner before the turn lane. Whereas usually I get through everything and that little extra turn lane with like 10 seconds to spare. No. I didn't even get to the turn lane before everything finished clocking through. It was great. So anyway, took my sweet time going upstairs. I had to take a couple breathers on the staircase because it was that bad. In hindsight, should have taken the elevator, but I rarely do because they take a minute. And then went over there to my desk, started locking in, got as far as opening most of my stuff up and checking through my emails for policies I had to do follow-up with and whatnot, and then just felt like I was gonna faint because I was just so out of breath. Like, I was already out of breath just parking, not even having gotten out of the car yet. It was bad. It was really bad when I got to the computer. So then I had to just step away for a minute before I even finished pulling everything up, and I was like, today is not going to happen. I just know it. So I sat and just like chilled a little bit with one of the other people that were there on my team who is there early, waited for my supervisor to come in and be like, yeah, I tried, but not today. I have to go. So I went home, except I stopped on the way. I made it across the floor, because we're like in the middle of the call center floor, to the elevator lobby, and then took a bench on the elevator lobby to catch my breath, and then asked them to give me a security for a ride across the street, since I didn't want to have to cross all the way back. And then came back home and rested for the rest of the day, and woke up yesterday on Wednesday, still felt like crap. So I tried to make it. I went to work, parked the car, had the whole out of breath thing again. Sat there for like 15 minutes. I'm just like, I'm still not, like, it's just not. There's that feeling when you know, like, you're going back to work after being sick and you're like, I still feel sick, but like, we can make it through, like, you're getting over it, and it's just like leftover sick, versus I am still actively sick and we're not ready yet. And I was still there. So I went back to the CVS clinic, but I went to a different one, because I'm sorry, but once you cough in in the lady's face like 3 times from the strep throat test, you just kind of don't want to show your face anymore. And the same lady was at the location there on Wednesday that was there Monday. So I'm just like, I'm going to just go to the other CVS, even though it's like 4 miles away instead of 1, and see somebody else. And thankfully the other lady was smart, and I took my test results, so she didn't have to take the test again, but she still wore a face mask, unlike the other lady. I'm sorry, first clinic lady. It's not my fault. We tried. I don't do well with you scratching the back of my throat. It's no good. Strep test, straps. And she like shoved Q-tips up my nose for the flu test too. And she's like, you may experience coughing, watering eyes, or, the need to sneeze. I got all 3. It was fun. Not really. So yeah. So the second lady was like, okay, we need to like get you past this whole plateauing where you're not seeing any improvement from the standard medicine. So she gave me a whole like regimen to go through for the next week or 2. So I got 2 different prescriptions. So one I have is a cough medicine that I'm supposed to take 3 times a day. And the second one is a steroid pack that I'm supposed to take 6 pills on the first day yesterday, 5 today, 4 tomorrow, 3, then 2, then 1. And that's supposed to help with the swelling in my nose and everything. And they said it was because I was getting like anxious, trying to hype myself up for work, and the fact that I couldn't breathe properly to start with because of the sickness, and that's why I was getting like out of breath trying to hype myself up for work. So perfect, self-fulfilling prophecy there. So I have those two, and I have a nasal spray, and I'm supposed to take allergy medicine. So I'm on 4 different medications now, and I'm supposed to take all of them together for like the first week, and then finish taking continue taking the allergy medicine and the nasal spray for another week or so after that, to make sure that once this goes away, I don't immediately get something else. So yeah, but I mean, it helps because I woke up today feeling a lot better. I wasn't like wiped out, like I wasn't feeling totally exhausted for the first time, and I can actually walk like a normal human being again. My feet get occasionally sore, but it's like a normal level of soreness. Still a little bit of progress, but we're getting there. And my killing sore throat was finally gone. Now I just have this lovely runny, stuffy nose and this terrible cough. And now, after being back at work today for the first time since last Tuesday, so a little over a week, I have now practically lost my voice. And hence this hoarseness that is going on right now. Literally all week my voice has been in and out, like Saturday and Sunday and Monday, like half of the time I could barely even like whisper out a thing. So people are like this close to my face, be like, what did you say? Huh? So even worse than the normal life. So super fun there. Sometimes just no voice would come out. Super fun. Like when I went in to work on Tuesday and someone held open the door for me, I'm just like, I have no voice. So, doing phone calls, not the best plan when your voice is dying. So, that's basically where we're at. And then, thankfully today was good news. I did not give you permission to attack my head just because I played with my hair. You can still stay though. You can stay, kitty. No, don't leave. Sorry. Anyway, good news from today. I walked into work and found an email from yesterday from internet. So, I finally found out when things are becoming official. I was originally told that I was going to be transferred on October 2nd from the original 30-day hold, but they have now said that training will be starting on Monday. So tomorrow's my last day on the phones. Thank God. And so now instead of coming back from Disney with 7 phone call days to go through, I only had 2. Because I was sick for 3, and I'm leaving it for internet 2 days early too. So, that's been a lovely improvement. And so, I get to work 9 to 5 shifts briefly from Monday to Friday until training is done. Not sure how long that's going to be yet, but I'm assuming we'll find out on Monday. And then I'll go to night shifts once training is finished. But tomorrow I get to pack extra bags so I can pack up my desk at the end of the day. And it's going to be such a weird feeling leaving this department after almost 2 years of taking phone calls every single day. We did it. It's literally the dream right now. Anyway, so that's basically where we've been at. And then because I'm trying to eat decent food for my illness, I made tomato soup. I had the soup to go in like the little microwavable can thing yesterday for dinner. And then today I was like, well, I might as well make some of the tomato soup with macaroni and ground beef that my mom used to make when we were little, because it kind of just a little bit different from just having basic soup. And and he gave me something better to take to work and everything. So I made that, except the recipe that she's given to me only requires a quarter pound of meat. And Ed said, no, we have to make the whole pound of meat. So you need to get more soup to make. So now I have 7 containers of soup with macaroni and beef. And somebody doesn't like it. So I'm the only one who's gonna eat it. But that's too much soup. I need somebody to eat soup with me. Because I'm not eating soup for a week straight. Probably not gonna be good for that long. But also, that's gonna make me hate soup forever if I eat a week of soup straight. It's a thing. But we'll see how it goes. Because right now I don't have anybody to share soup with. Other than Ed, who doesn't want any. At least he tried it. But still. Anyway. So that's where we're at. It's been a week. A long and crazy week. But we did it. We're here. So now I'm going to try back into reading, because that's a thing that I was too sick to do or too busy to do. I pretty much didn't do hardly any reading for the last week, because once we got to Disney we were busy all the time and I couldn't really keep a book with me because the backpack was pretty heavy and I got sick and everything. So only reading that I did once we actually got to Disney was listen to Breaking Dawn on the audiobook as I was going to sleep, because it was so hard to sleep soundly in that freezing cold room, because there wasn't proper blankets. It was like sheets for blankets because they were super thin, even though there was proper blanket on there. So I kept waking up, so I would listen to Breaking Dawn so that I would have to worry about where I was when I fell asleep and having to go back to find my place like I do sometimes, even with the sleeping timer, because it helps. But at this point I was just like, I'm up so much, I just want to hit play again and still use the timer but keep it longer and then just hit it again when I wake back up and not have to worry about losing my place because I already know it so well. And then when I got back I was still just like so all over the place that I just was binging shows. So I finished watching through season 5 of iZombie and it was awesome. And I watched some of Sherlock yesterday too, and then I fell asleep on the couch. Been back and forth between the couch and my bed all week. And yesterday I finally decided to start reading Speak, because I got a notification that the library's audiobook finally finished being on hold, and like, so your rental of the audiobook starts now. So it was like, well, I might as well start it then. Plus it's super short, so maybe I can finish it tonight and then watch the movie tonight too. That'd be great. If I don't, keep talking on this thing forever long. Because this has been like 40 minutes and that's insane. And how has my voice not completely died out yet? Oh my god. Anyway, I think I'm gonna end this here because I think I finally caught up on everything. And hopefully I'll get these vlogs up before too long. But we'll see how it goes. Anyway, hopefully I'll be better and out of this illness soon. And talk to you another day. But for now, it's time to read and chill. And charge my phone because it's super dead. Later. So, It's just after noon, and as you can tell, my voice is almost completely gone now. I am actually leaving work early. Unfortunately, on this last day I was supposed to do phone calls because between this voice and the fact that my cough is, when it hits, has gotten so bad that I was like choking on my breath, and it was just a whole ordeal. Couldn't get through the phone call at one point. I had to go to the bathroom and like catch up on things. So I'm being sent home. And so unfortunately, even though we had like pizza planned from my supervisor for my last day, when we were supposed to have our joint like lunch breaks today, this afternoon at like 3, that's not really happening anymore. So yeah, I just had to awkwardly pack up my desk and put everything in a box and in my backpack and just kind of leave while everyone else was on the phones. Thankfully I got to like say a quick goodbye briefly, but not quite what would have been planned otherwise. So yeah, ordinarily I would have like tried to do like I did for night shift, where I bought like a cake or something, but I'm like, no one really wants to do anything for me right now because I'm so sick for like the past week and clearly like dying right now. So yeah, so I'm about to head home and just kind of chill and rest this crap so that hopefully by Monday we'll be good enough to go and get back into work properly, because this is ridiculous. And hopefully it clears up soon, but we'll see. Anyway, that's what things are happening today. This week is so weird. Anyway, I'm gonna go home now because I really need to go ahead and chill. Anyway, this has been a short and squeaky, hoarsely voiced update. Oh jeez. I really need to go home. I'm just gonna end it here. Brief update today while I'm in the parking lot of Walmart, because I'm random like that this week. So yeah, I went to the car wash today. There's a new place called Tommy's Express that opened up on the 24th, and they mailed out free car wash coupons. Well, they mailed them out to us while we were waiting in Florida, so I took my car there today because I have a crap ton of love bugs smashed on the front of my car. So went there today to get that taken care of, and even before I went through, she's like, so I noticed you have some bugs on your car. Yeah, there was a lot. She's like, well, when you're finished, make sure you get out and take a look, and if they're still there, like, come back through, we'll let you go through again. And they still were, so I went, and she thankfully was kind enough to let me go through a second time. But they're still kind of there. It got rid of the majority of them, but there's still a decent bit still, like, crusted onto the front of the car, so that's gonna need to be scrubbed off later. But yeah, other than that, I'm going to get more wiper fluid because that's also a thing that we ran out of. We just filled it up a little bit when my car died back in Marietta the other week before we went to Florida, and then when we went to Florida and first started trying to get the love bugs off on our way down, I think is when the fluid ran out because we didn't have that much to fill it up with. So I'm going to try and restock on that today, and also get a few other things that I wasn't able to get from Kroger yesterday when I did groceries, because I had to do groceries yesterday because we have not been doing any of the like true productive errands since getting back from Disney, so we had not done groceries for like 2 weeks. So yeah. And of course my voice is still pretty dead, but it's, most of the stuff is better. My sore throat is gone, and that was same for yesterday too. Thankfully it's just like the reoccurring cough, which is still pretty like intense when it happens. It's really worse like mostly when I'm trying to sleep is really when it's bad. So like sleeping is still kind of crazy because I can't hardly fall asleep because every time I'm breathing I'm like coughing. But thankfully it was a little bit better like the second half of the night last night because I'm now able to somewhat breathe through my nose. So more often I was able to focus on trying to prioritize breathing through my nose rather than mouth again, the longer I could hold off the cough, thankfully. So hopefully that continues to improve, though unfortunately it seems like the cough medicine kind of like upsets my stomach because both, I think it was Wednesday night and last night, like I was just like dying. My stomach was so just like jumbled. Thankfully not like truly nauseous. I felt like I was gonna throw up, but it was not settling at all, and it was bad. So yeah. And then I still have a little bit of the sniffles, but it's going away. So progress is occurring, thankfully. And hopefully this voice will come back before too much longer as well. But anyway, before I go and kill it much further, I'm going to go ahead and jump into Walmart here in a minute to go pick up some stuff. And yeah, fun times.